gave you more than I gave to myself. You had me on a shelf, but now I'm somewhere else. I was bending, breaking, lost in your storm. Now I'm a hurricane in my purest form. You tried to play me like a fool, had me doubting my worth. Nah, I flipped the script on you, reborn from the dirt. You thought I stayed down? Nah, new mindset, I'm putting me first. This ain't no apology, this my reign. No more bowing down, I'm done with the games. Toxic love, no, I broke that spell. I'm the villain in your story, I wrote you. Messy goddess, fierce, wild, unleashed, untamed, not mild. Messy goddess, feel the fire in my eyes. No chains.
This is the Mediocre Black Woman Podcast, the space where we side-eye perfectionism and take a digital deep sigh. I'm Goddess Thea, writer, speaker, tech baddie, HR baddie, and a certified high achiever people pleaser in recovery. As a woman who cares deeply about culture in our workplaces, in our communities, and in our lives, I started this podcast in response to Kamala's loss in the election. It was more than political. It was personal. Watching one of the most qualified women lose despite checking every box. It hit a nerve. It mirrored what so many of us go through, doing the most and still being told we're not enough. That loss made it clear. We needed a space for the truth, a space for the tension, and a space for the release. If you've ever been praised for your resilience when you really just needed a nap, girl, or been the only Black woman in the Zoom room holding back a scream, sis, this is your space. Sometimes I'm ranting, sometimes I'm reflecting, sometimes it's healing wrapped in a girl, let me tell you. Either way, this is where we stop pretending and start processing. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the Mediocre Black Woman Podcast. I'm here today with Valencia, and we have such a beautiful episode here for you. So let me just set the stage real quick. Everything starts with the mind. Before you change your job, your location, your relationships, before anything shifts on the outside, it begins with a thought, a choice, a new internal agreement. So when I got laid off last week, I didn't panic. I didn't fall apart. I got still and saw the opportunities right in front of me. So today's conversation is about exactly that, how changing your mind, changing your perspective can change your life. And I'm joined by Valencia, who is a burnout recovery strategist, elite Neuro Encoding Specialist, and African tourism expert. She knows what it means to reclaim your life from the inside out. Valencia once reached a point where she no longer wanted to be here. And through a daily practice of gratitude and neural rewiring, she not only chose to stay, she chose to thrive. And we're talking about our personal reinvention and also the collective exhaustion we're all swimming in. Because let's be real, the world feels heavy right now. Systems are collapsing. People are tired. And imagining the future can feel like a luxury when you're just trying to survive the present. But this episode isn't about escape. It's about power, the kind you already have. So let me introduce you all to Valencia. She's affectionately known as the Gratitude Grand Master, a powerful voice for those ready to breathe again, reclaim their energy, and transform burnout into bold, ease-filled living. She's the visionary behind the Ease Over Exhaustion community and academy, where high-achieving women and mission-driven entrepreneurs learn to trade hustle for harmony and find clarity in the chaos. Hello, that's why she's on the Mediocre Black Woman. And elite Neuro Encoding Specialist, Valencia uses science-backed strategies to help people rewire limiting beliefs, regulate their nervous systems, and embody sovereignty from the inside out. Now living in Kigali, Rwanda, she's also an international speaker and strategist who has been a featured presenter at tourism and wellness conferences in Kenya and across East Africa, specializing in helping African destinations attract and welcome the Black diaspora. Through her signature programs, transformational challenges, and soulful retreats, Valencia empowers others to learn with more ease, healing community, and choose freedom over fatigue. She blends neuroscience, sacred self-care, and straight talking strategy with deep joy and always a whole lot of gratitude. Welcome, Valencia.
Thank you, Thea. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you. As you all know, you heard her bio, you heard what she's about. Like, it's Valencia. You are literally a part of our tribe, okay?
Yes.
So I'm excited for this conversation because I feel like it's not just me right now. I keep talking to others who are in the midst of now picking up their purpose. They're getting pieces of the story, but they're not necessarily able to see the full picture. But people are starting to take action. They're starting to galvanize themselves, and it's a really auspicious time because there's a lot of shifts happening. And so my major shift happened last week with being laid off, and you have a major shift of where, you know, you hit a breaking point, and gratitude literally was the life preserver that saved you. And I love this concept because when people hear gratitude practices, they sometimes roll their eyes or they're like, oh, like if I just be grateful, like things are going to change. Like, no. So I feel like this is such a beautiful episode because you're going to take some of the philosophy, the principles, and combine it with real life, you know, strategies and science, because there is a science behind this. And so I'm really eager to talk to you. So the first question that I want to kind of kick us off with is, what does neuroencoding actually mean for those who have, you know, no concept of this?
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, Thea. I'm going to definitely answer your question. First, I just want to take this time to just thank you for being on this podcast. I really love what you are doing. And I especially love the resilience that's in you. You had something very dramatic happen last week, right? Where they told you goodbye on your
Yeah.
job, but you're keeping going, right? You put a new lens on this thing, and you're going to thrive from it. So I want everyone to just take a time right now to subscribe to her podcast. I want you to give her 5 stars right now. Don't wait, okay? Because this information and the types of information that Thea gives us, the whole world needs it. And the only way that's going to happen is if each and every one of you you subscribe, and you share this, to other people so they can get the information. So Thea, it is my honor and pleasure to be on here today.
Okay. I didn't even have to pay her to say that, y'all. So thank you, Valencia. That was so special.
Well, thank you. So, you asked me the question about what is neuroencoding. I'm an elite neuroencoding specialist. And all that means is, it's a fancy word for, I'm able to do is I help people program themselves or reprogram themselves so that they will live the life that they want to do, and it's that they want to live. And it's all based on science, all of it. So I'll take neuroscience, I'll take a little bit of quantum physics, which is really spirituality, when you really get down to it, but they're actual sciences.
Mm-hmm.
And I take those, and I was my first client. Okay. And I hope that we do get a little bit into that. But I was my first client. And like I said, I was on my way out of here and I stumbled upon this, didn't know it was a science, didn't know it was anything. But because I had such success with it, and I was able to just look at my life in a different lens, I'm here today and I'm thriving today and I'm doing what I truly love to do in a country that I wanted to be in as well. So if it can work for me, it works for everyone. So it's absolutely fantastic.
Wow. Wow. Actually, would you mind unpacking a little bit of that story about kind of the place you were in and how neuroencoding helps you get out of that place?
Yes, I'll be happy to. Because, my story, I don't take it lightly. Um, I guess I was able to take something that was total lemons, sour, and turn it into lemonade. And I believe each and every one of us has the power to do that with our own lives. But about 8 years ago, I was really at a bottom, and I had really been there for a long time, really. Um, some days will be okay, some days not so great, right? Um, but I was in a point where I was ready to give up. on the world. Like, just say bye. Like, maybe God will give me another chance. And I'm not a religious type person, but I was just thinking, well, maybe, I'll get another chance to come back here and do it right. But this right here, this is not working. I am tired of struggling. I'm tired of living this life. And so I was ready to just say bye. I made a date. I'm a calendar girl. So I've always been that way. If you put a date on a calendar, you stick with it, right? No matter what. And so I actually put the date on my calendar. It was a 5 days out, which was on a Saturday. And I was going to have my, what I call the event. I knew exactly what I was going to do, how I was going to do it, all of that. And nobody knew. If you were to look at me, you would see a smile on my face normally in public. You would think that I had it going on. I mean, I had, single, I had my own home, I was paying my own bills. So I guess to the outside world, you would think, hey, everything's cool with her, right? But on the inside, I didn't feel good about myself at all. I felt struggle. I had a preconceived notion of what I thought my life should be. I should be married with children with the white picket fence. And because I didn't have that, I put that burden on myself that I wasn't good enough, right? And I was that way for years and years. So I got to the point, I don't like this. I can't change it. I've tried everything to change it. There's nothing I can do. I'm burnt out, okay, with life. And I stumbled upon something. I didn't know anything about science. I didn't know anything, right? But I stumbled upon something, and it was actually a video, right? And it wasn't even a video about gratitude, but the lady was just kind of giving her testimony. And she said, I start thinking about what I'm grateful for every single day. And it's changed my life, and now my life is better. And I said, well, if I do that, when I wake up in the morning, I'm thinking about all my problems. And I've been doing this for years, thinking about my problems, thinking about the relationships that didn't work out, the money that I didn't think I had enough of, right? All kinds of things. I would regularly rehearse it every day in my brain, and I would live that out the whole day. So I said, I can't think about it, but maybe I can write it down. When I was 7 years old, I used to keep a diary, right? And I said, well, maybe I'll just write it. What do I have to lose? Because I still had that date on my calendar.
Yeah.
And I was sticking to that date. But I said, you know what, let me just try this, because you got to understand that what you really want in life, you got to understand that it really wants you, or the universe really wants what you want. But nobody, please hear the sound of voice, nobody wants to perish. Nobody wishes that upon themselves. What you really want is you want the pain to end. You want that pain to be over with, right? And so that's what I really wanted. So anyway, I started writing down 3 to 5 things I was grateful for every day. By the end of that week, that 5 days, the next day was supposed to be my event. I felt just a little bit better. And I was like, no, there's no way. Because it takes me 5 minutes in the morning to write down 3 to 5 things. And I'm writing down things like I can see light, little things, nothing big. But I did feel just a little bit better. So I said, let me just delay it one more week. I tried it for a second week. Same thing. I would make a date with myself in the morning and write these things down. And I felt that second week, I felt a little bit better. And then I just took it week by week. So by the end of the month, 4 weeks, by the end of the month, you couldn't tell me anything. I wanted to live. You couldn't tell me otherwise.
Wow.
And I was like, what in the world, God? I grew up in the church. Come on. I've praised God. I've done all kinds of things, right? Nothing has worked like this has worked. And I had to find out why it worked. And so that got me into neuroscience, and that led me into becoming an elite neuro encoding specialist now. So it's all science. And I was working the science with gratitude and didn't even know that I was doing it, but it worked. Okay. And it's still working today
Okay.
because I keep that gratitude journal today.
Wow, because it saved your life, literally. Like, you know?
Exactly. Exactly.
And I want to call out the contrast here of, you said in your story that, you had all smiles on your face, but
Mm-hmm.
you were going through this kind of anguish on the inside. But then with doing the gratitude practice, it felt like that's when you were really starting to appreciate what was around you versus forcing this, like,
Yeah.
this projection of what you want people to think or believe about what's really going on.
Right. Yeah. It's time to
Wow.
get really, really real. When you write those things down, it's time to get really real. But my rule was I could only write down the good, no bad. I personally don't believe in this thing called shadow journaling. I don't believe in it because I believe what you write as a neuro encoding specialist, what you write, you invite. It goes deep into your subconscious mind. So just
Mm,
like in Egypt, they wrote on the walls with the hieroglyphics, right?
yeah.
Now, they had a lot of technology back then. I won't get all into it, but I believe they had some real great technology, okay? But they still wrote things down.
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
powerful. So people say, well, can I just type it in my tablet or something? I say, no, you
No.
need to write it because it's something about writing it and it goes deep into your subconscious mind. And that's science.
Exactly.
You need to write it down. And it doesn't have to take long to do it, but you do it. And even today, 8 years later, sometimes, I get away from it just a little bit. Maybe it's not every day, but I feel myself actually start going down. And I was like, wait a minute, why am I feeling this way? What? Oh, Val, you have not been in your gratitude journal. I pick it back up. I start writing again. And it's like, boom, I just feel great again. So,
That's how it works. Wow, that's
mhm.
beautiful. I've been an avid journaler for years since I knew how to write pretty much,
Oh,
and
good.
I can attest to when you journal and you write things down. Actually, in the course that we're starting on Friday, Spades and Shade, I'm encouraging everybody to use a journal with their practice, not just a piece of paper or just a voice note. You can do both, right? But there's something to the magic of writing it down. Like,
Yes.
you remember things so much better, you connect with something so much better on a deeper level. It's very spiritual to write these things down. So how does the brain, because you kind of talked about this, like you basically interrupted your thought pattern of where you have been for so long. So
Yes.
how does the brain create patterns that can keep us stuck? Because you mentioned also something in your story about the universe wanting to give us what we want, right?
Hmm. Yes, that's right.
So how do we interrupt those patterns, and how does the brain kind of keep us stuck?
Well, the brain learns through repetition, period. So, if you remember in my story, I said for years, I was thinking about what was going wrong. I would wake up, even before
Mm-hmm.
I opened my eyes very well, I was still thinking about, oh, today is Thursday. I got the light bill due. I don't know if I don't even want to look at my bank account to see what I have in it. You see what I'm saying? I was rehearsing these
Yeah.
things and they became repetition. And that is how your brain learns. So if it can learn one way towards the negative, you can switch it. You have the power to switch that thing and turn it to the positive. So with the
Mm-hmm.
gratitude, that's what I was able to do. I was training my brain to be aware of all the good that was in my life, even if it was small. Okay. And once you become aware of the good things, even if it's small, you've got to understand a law here. Whatever you put out into the universe, you're going to get it back and it's going to come back multiplied. So even if you find just a speck
Oof.
of good, I don't care what your situation is, a speck of good, write it down, plant it into your brain, make it repeat it over and over and over and over again. And what's going to happen is you're emitting that into the universe, even if it's small, and it's going to come back to you multiplied and larger. I tell you, when I started this gratitude practice, I started noticing after maybe a week or two, things started happening for me instead of to me. And I was like, oh my God, I cannot wait to go write this down in my journal. I cannot wait. But I would wait until that morning time to write it down because that was my time to do it. You see? So it's powerful. So that was neuroscience and quantum physics all together that I just quoted. It's all science.
Oof. That's beautiful. That's so beautiful. So now I'm curious, with your background in the church, did you ever feel any conflict around the science aspect of changing your mind and deciding to live? Like, what was there any tension around that?
No. So, in fact, it helped
Okay.
me dot the I's and cross the T's because, okay, I believe that, I mean, I grew up in the church, right? I mean, everybody in my family, deaconess, I mean, they all were in the church. We would be in the church 4 days a week, okay?
Okay.
So, growing up. So, but however, I would say that sometimes when things were said, it didn't necessarily make sense to me. I got to be honest. It didn't all make sense to me. But I'm going with it because everybody else is going with it, right? But wasn't until I really started studying, like I had a pastor. I love this. Let me say, Henry Williams Jr., I'm saying his name, okay? He's no longer with us on this realm. But for about 7 or 8 years, I was up under him, and he opened my eyes to things like the quantum physics and things like that. And he made me, well, not just me, but everyone in the congregation, the ones that would really go back and research some of these things, right? And it really
Okay.
opened my eyes. And so now I'm able to dot the I's and cross the T's, and I'm able to do it with science. Like, I know that whatever you put out in the world, it's going to come back to you magnified. If you're putting out negative, you're going to have a lot of drama in your life, but you got to understand that it's emanating from you. Okay. But if you change on the inside and have an effort to, no, let me treat people right. Let me do my neighbor as I would have them do unto me. You see what I'm saying? That kind of thing.
I do.
And
I do.
I'm telling you, so there are truths in that Bible, right? Some of it is just the way that it's been passed down, and maybe everybody doesn't know. But when you really get to studying it, it's a book of freaking science. It really is. Okay. It is a book of science. So the neuro encoding and all of that has helped, and the quantum physics has really helped me. So it is helped me dot the I's and cross the T's. So I love it.
I love to see that you were encouraged, because sometimes when you're starting to deal with these kinds of things, there's things that are said to you. We've all been there before that don't actually help your situation. So that's huge. That is huge.
Yeah.
Because it's all connected. If we really go back to it, it's just, like you said, the way things have been passed down, the patterns that have been passed down.
Yeah. I remember having pastors before this one. Don't go, you better not go to yoga class. You better not practice yoga. That's demonic. And I'm like, what? That doesn't make sense. But that was him saying that. It wasn't the word. It wasn't the actual word of God saying that. Right. So a lot of times however, we grew up in church, those things, even though it doesn't make sense, we just kind of accept it. Until we go back and say, wait a minute, research. Like Reverend Henry Williams Jr. said, I don't care who's in the pulpit. You go back and research and find this for yourself. Okay. He says, I don't care if it's me. I don't care who it is. You go back and research. And so I had never heard that before. And he didn't tell us to go necessarily in the word to research it either. So I remember Googling stuff and all kinds of just everything, right? And it really helped me so much. And I'm so grateful and thankful that the universe put him in my path. it was for a reason.
Oh my God, it was for a reason. I'm so glad that you were able to have that encouragement because realistically, when we blend some of these tools together, like the tarot, I'm really into the tarot, and I've been studying it for the course, and I've been learning and getting deeper into it and learning about some of the influences of the deck, and that it's not just like some of it is taken from different cultures and different religions, right? So it's like learning how to blend those tools into all of your practices because it all goes together. It does create a more rich spiritual life, but it also gives you the tools to get yourself out of situations like these, Because if I didn't have my tools, if you didn't have your tools, I feel like, man, like my mindset today probably would be so much different around the situation that I'm in as it is, you know?
And I'm glad you use the word tools because that's what it is. Okay, that's exactly what they're tools. So how many tools do you want in your belt? You're the carpenter, right? You got the tool belt on, right? And you're ready for any situation. So life is about what tools do I have? Adding more tools, like spending time, even investing in yourself to help someone, help you discover new tools or teach you how to use new tools, right? So that you can have them for your any situations in your life, but then also to share them with others. Okay? Like if Henry
Exactly.
Williams Jr. did not share with me what he knew, I would really be lost today. I wouldn't even be here. Okay. I wouldn't even be here. So,
Ooh, can we just pause for a second for that? Because no, seriously, like I don't think you all realize, like, we all come back to do a specific purpose, right? And to prematurely not get to finish your purpose, I'm trying not to tear up, but I feel like, oh my God, I've been real open lately emotionally, but it just for the fact that you're still here is ooh, it is a big deal. It is
thank
a
you.
big deal.
Thank you.
Life changing. You're gonna, with this episode alone, like, and I'm sure many other things that you've done, but just this interaction alone, so many people are gonna hear from you. And imagine if we didn't get to have some of Valencia today, y'all. That just wouldn't be it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm just doing what I'm supposed to be doing. That's all what I was put on here for on this earth.
Okay.
That's what I'm doing.
Okay.
So,
I'm telling you. Okay. All right now. Okay, let's pivot a little bit. Let me get out of my feelings, y'all. We're gonna pivot a little bit. So let's talk about reinventing yourself without running away.
okay.
Because you and I spoke about, like how you moved to Rwanda, how I moved from California to Texas, right, some years ago. And, sometimes people think that reinventing yourself or changing your mindset is about moving your environment, is about starting something new. But sometimes doing those things, right, can cover up things that we're not really ready to deal with or ready to change. So let's talk about this concept of like not necessarily needing to move away to change the way. So let's talk about that.
Well, the first step, and this is definitely a part of neuro encoding, is you got to get quiet and you really got to listen to your subconscious mind, which I believe is your connection to God. Okay. Scientifically, it's 100,000 times more powerful than your conscious mind. Your conscious mind is what's always trying to figure stuff out. All right. But if you're able to lean into that subconscious mind, it's going to take you high. You ever meditated? I'm sure you've meditated, or people in the audience have meditated. That is actually you going into your subconscious mind and you actually feel high doing it. Like I've been in meditation and I didn't want to come out of it. Okay. So that's you going high and tapping into your subconscious mind, which is your God connection. Okay. The connection to the universe, however you want to say it. But that conscious mind, it will lower your vibration because it's always trying to figure out how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? How, right? And the
Oof.
answer is, I think I'm preaching to the choir here, but the answer is it is not your job to figure out the how. Your job is the what. even if it doesn't make sense to the conscious mind. It is always the what. That is what the universe or God is waiting for you to clearly claim and say, this is what I want. And be honest, I don't know how it's going to happen, but that's not even your job. Because what's going to happen is once you stay on that high frequency, okay, uh, and using your tools to stay high as much as you can, okay, that what or that how, excuse me, is going to come. You're going to get a download. I can't tell you how I've been doing other things, right? Like washing dishes, cooking dinner, just whatever, anything. And then boom,
Mm-hmm.
you get a download. Boom. And you know exactly
Right?
how you're going to do this what that you said you wanted to do. It's a download. It didn't take you any extra energy. It didn't take you any worry. Those are the things that bring you down. They bring your vibration, your frequency down. And your job is to keep your frequency up. That is your job. Like it's not even anybody else's job. You've got to do it for yourself. So it's not your boyfriend's job. It's not your girlfriend's job. It's not your mama's job. It's your job to keep
Okay.
your frequency as high as possible. You know you're going to go up and down. You know that. But don't be down for long. Be up. So this is where I use different techniques, neuro encoding techniques, all kinds of things, right? If I see myself and I'm aware I'm going down, let me change something. Let me take one of my tools out and do that. Okay. Even if it's for a split second, that's all I need. Because remember, whatever you put out into the universe is going to come back to you magnified.
Well, yeah, well, no, because I've had this before. Like these very conversations in my prayer closet room where I be doing all my prayers and stuff. I be talking to God. I be like, look,
Exactly.
I be like, okay, well, so y'all want me to do what? Okay, I'll do that, but like. How? And then I was like, you know what? Never mind. That's not my place. Like these are the exact conversations in my prayer closet. Because yeah, to your point, when you get wrapped up in the how, sometimes like it can take you around in circles. And
Yes.
so, and I've noticed that getting very clear on what you want and speaking that out loud is really hard. But once you do it, it does start a chain effect because it was probably about 3 episodes ago now on the podcast before I got laid off, where I had said that, I've been sitting in the midst of the unknown, trying to figure and work through some things. And I said, but one thing I do know is that I don't necessarily want to work for somebody. I want to, if I am, I want to be leading the next thing that I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be in partnership. And they were like, okay, bet. Like
Exactly.
you can't lead where you are right now. So yeah, you drive all of the creation and all the projects, but you don't get to lead the strategy. So boom, we're removing you off of that. Like you said it. Okay, now we heard you finally. You finally said something, because I realized I don't ask for enough help and I don't like to, I don't talk in my prayers for enough help. And so I start saying things and I'm seeing them, come to fruition,
Yes. You're powerful. Each and every one of us is very, very powerful. But that thought that you had, that what, okay, it was a what. And even if
Yep.
it was for a split second, you were clear on it. Even though you probably kind of not cast it out, but just kind of forgot about it, right? But that's releasing it too. That's not worrying. That's not worrying about it. It's releasing it. And that is a law too of the universe. You have to release it. So the what and then release it. The law of release. Okay. And boom, it came. Okay. So again, your job is the what. The what is it that you want? Because you got to understand you're a powerful vessel. You are a powerful vessel. Okay. So once you are clear on the what, and it may even be just a second, and you say, that's what I want. Okay. But then instead of you, this is what I want. This is what I want. This is what I want. And you're thinking about it. You're trying to make it happen and you're using a lot of energy in your brain to really try to make this thing happen. You are defeating the purpose because there's resistance there. So it has to flow. So the best way for something to flow is for you to what? Let it go. Just let it go. You let it go.
So for my worry words, Valencia, how do they do that? Is there like, because I know there's some of my people who are listening, because I am a former worry word, and I've like begun to get so much better at just being like, you know what, I can't do nothing about this. Let me let y'all got this. I'm passing you the ball. But like, what are some things, like, I know some people do, like, I've seen burn ceremonies where people will write down the thing, burn it, let it go. I've seen like people do all kinds of things, but
Yeah.
what's something for my worry words that they can do that they're like, okay, I've released it, I've done something with it, and maybe interrupting even that pattern when their mind starts to try to solve the puzzle,
Well, for me, see, you spoke earlier about speaking things into existence, right? Now, and there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, it's easier for me and more effective for me to write it down. I am a journaler. Okay. Journaling is what saved my life, right? So for me, I have to write it down. It is there, it's permanent, it is in writing. I close the book, I let it go. That's my exercise. So it's not really for me about saying it over and over again. In fact, for me, that puts more resistance in it because it's like almost like I'm trying to make it happen by saying it and saying it and saying it. I'm going to keep saying it and saying it. To me, and it's not a natural thing for me because I'm really an introvert. Okay. I live, by myself. So it is not normal. I'm not even a talkative type person. For me, it's awkward. But for me, I can definitely write things down. I have a special place that I write it down, in my gratitude journal. And I close the book and I forget about it. But the fact that it's written down for me, it means something to me, right? And it's something that I may actually forget about it. But because it's written down and when I wrote it down, it's almost like I just said, you know what, this is going to happen. Or I might put pictures with it in my journal, right? Pictures, because we really think in pictures too. So I may cut out some pictures and things like that of what it is I want. But I just close the book and I just forget about it. But it is amazing. Like, have you ever had a dream board or anything? And I had a dream board several years ago. And when it was time, I sold my house and everything, I was, unpacking everything or, throwing stuff out. And I looked at this vision board that I had up on the wall and I said, oh my God, 90% of what I have put on that vision board so many years ago has occurred, right? And it's just amazing. So I know that I think in pictures and to write things down, to have stuff on paper means something to me. That's the way I work. And you have to kind of find out what works for you.
Yeah.
But that's what works for me. And especially pictures, because even that, it's going into the subconscious. I know that the pictures are up there, but because I look at it every day, I've just kind of ignore it. But my subconscious is picking it up. And that's why 90% of those things have been achieved.
Yes, I can see that. It's funny that you talk about a dream board because I think it was 2018, when I was with my former team, we built out these vision boards all together in our office. Like, we were just working on our vision boards. And one of the guys on my team, he's like, oh, here's a picture of Beyonce, put it on your vision board. And I was like, why would I do that? Like, it didn't make any sense. But, here I am living in Texas, one. So I was like, oh, I wonder if that was something about it. And I was just like, oh, it is surprising how those little subconscious reminders from your vision board will help. And there's some other things on there that had happened after I moved here. So I was like, okay, there is definitely something to the vision boards and seeing the visuals and being reminded of it, whether or not you're conscious of it, or not.
Right, exactly. And like for you to decide to move to Texas, right? You have to get something that I call You must have had something I call a unction. It was a
I did.
unction. It's like something is pulling you towards there, and you can't seem to understand what that is or why that is, or you may question it, right? And this is just for everyone in general. But that unction, that is from the universe pulling you. Remember, I told you what you truly want is what the universe wants for you.
Hmm.
So sometimes that unction that we get, it's like, man, I don't know why I'm supposed to be doing this, but I'm just going to go with it and do it. That's the universe pulling you in the direction that you really want to go. Because if you left it up under your own
That's so true.
senses, yeah, that conscious mind, well, this doesn't make sense. Da, 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 da. You know, unction. That's what's, even while I'm here today, it was an unction. It was a strong unction, right? And then my
Hmm.
mind battled with it because your mind is always going to want to keep you where you are, even if you're miserable, even if you're suffering. It says we're safe here because this is what we know, and it's going to convince you why you should stay, why you shouldn't move, because
Mm.
you're going into the unknown. But you have to understand that is just your mind. That is not you. You, when I say go inside to that powerful subconscious, that connection with God, that's you. That's really you. The one that's telling you you can fly, you can do anything that you want to do, right? The one that is giving you these big dreams, and then your conscious mind is like, well, how are you going to do that? You never done that. No one in your family's ever done that. That's your mind trying to keep you safe. Just understand it's trying to keep you safe, but ignore it, because the inner voice in you, your connection to God, the universe, knows what is best for you and is there for you. So that's why I say you got to go inside and you got to figure out the what and go and hold on to it.
That's beautiful. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Because I did have an unction when it came to Texas, and my boss had sent me here for a few days, and I did some work out here, and I was like, I'm moving here. I don't know how, and
Mhm.
I don't know when, but
Right.
I'm moving. And so they wouldn't transfer me. So I quit my job and I moved out here, found a new one, and that was that. It was history. But yeah, I felt a pull to move here, and I'd never been to Texas before that point. So
Amazing.
there's something to it. Yeah,
It is.
there's these nudges. And I knew that if I didn't do it in my fashion while I was given the option,
Right.
it would have been done anyway. It's just not the
Exactly.
way I would have wanted it to be done. So,
Exactly. Yep. I'm the same way. I was like, this is the best time right here to go to Africa. And I never been here, never even thought about being here, but I had that unction. And I was like, well, I gotta obey. I gotta do it. And I'm so glad I did. It's wonderful.
I am too, because it sounds like it's been such an amazing journey for you.
Oh, it is. Lots of opportunities have opened up for me here. A lot more than I had in the United States. So it's wonderful. It's great.
Yes, yes. I love that. Okay, now. Oh, wow. We talked about a lot today.
Oh, it was
So,
great.
um, yeah, we talked about our stories. We talked about gratitude. We talked about shifting our mindset, and our minds want to give us what we want. The universe wants to give us what we want.
Hmm.
And so we have to, be open to trusting and focusing on the what and not the how so much. Let that go. So thank you for everything you've shared today. I do want to, before we, pivot out of here, I do want to ask you a few questions about the collective burnout that we've all kind of been facing, especially here in the US.
Hmm.
What are you hearing from people right now about the burnout they're experiencing?
Wow. A lot of people are all kinds of different things, but people are definitely burnt out, right? And it's not just affecting them, it's affecting their whole family. I mean, the kids, I think about the kids, right? And what it does to the subconscious mind. some people want to stay and fight, and some people, you like me, are like, nope, I don't have time for this. The whole world is mine, and let me go somewhere else, right, where I can really be accepted as a human being, as the human being that I am. So there's just a lot that's going on, right? And I say, whatever someone's decision is, I'm in agreement with whatever their decision is. For me, I just had to follow my truth, and my truth was, I'm seeing things go but way backwards, the way it was before my grandparents, right? And that is just not acceptable for me, especially at this time in my life, right? I've got so many things that I want to do, and I do want to be in a place that's welcoming, and that has opportunity. And so that mind of mine was fighting me tooth and nail. I almost didn't get on that plane, but I am so glad I listened to the inside of me and I got on that plane. And ever since I got on that plane, I'm telling you, life is it's really wonderful, and I want that for everyone. But there are different techniques that you can use, neuro encoding techniques, and definitely gratitude for the ones that are staying in the U.S. You got to really understand that you must do these things. You must take care of yourself emotionally. Okay. Turn off the TV, turn it off. But it's not just the TV, it's everywhere. It seeps into social media. So, I mean, it's everywhere, but you got to really go inside. Like, if you don't know meditation, start learning it, try. Okay. But you really got to start practicing these things that we used to think, oh, that doesn't work. That's woohoo stuff. It's not woohoo stuff. This woohoo stuff saved my life. Okay. And so it'll save yours too. So you got to tune into that emotional wellness, emotional well-being. You really got to do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, because it all lives in the body eventually if you're not tuned into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you'll get sick, everything. So yeah, well, thank you. It's great to be on here. We could talk forever, couldn't we?
It was. That's why I was like, I want to keep going, but I know I'm cognizant of the fact that we're at 46 minutes. And I'm like, okay, we're approaching the hour. I feel like we could go for 2 hours realistically. But this was such a great session. And I told Valencia, y'all, when we did the connection call, I was like, we're probably going to do a few episodes together, but I do want to shout out before we go about your Ease Over Exhaustion community and academy. And so for our listeners here at the Mediocre Black Woman, Valencia is giving everyone a 14-day free trial into the Ease Over Exhaustion community and academy. And so all of that information will be in our show notes. I'm also, Valencia is actually our first Black Friday post, so you all be able to find her information in that blog post as well on our website. And I'm so grateful that we were able to have you. Thank you for sharing your story with us, because that was very hard and vulnerable to share. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. And I just appreciate you being here and connecting with us. And thank you for reaching out to me to be on the podcast in the first place. Like, I think that was such a beautiful leap to, try to connect and have a conversation.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure being on here. And again, I love everything that you're doing. So, I mean, it's just a match. The universe brought us together. So I wish the best for you. And I know this won't be the last.
All right, sis. That's it for today. Thanks for listening to the Mediocre Black Woman podcast. Remember, your magic even on your messiest days. Don't forget to share this with your bestie and tell them to share it with their bestie too. See you next time. Take it easy and take care.
You ain't welcome here no more. Your hold on me ceased. I embrace the mess. Yeah, I take up space. I'm the goddess of chaos, running my own race.